The latest news, updates, and more from the world of health and medicine. This is Medical Minutes with Wish TV's medical reporter, Dr. Mary Gillis.
From Wish TV, I'm medical reporter Dr. Mary Gillis, and this is Medical Minutes on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Doctors and researchers have been working around the clock to uncover the mysteries that remain about COVID-19. And while this past year has been marked by death and sadness, it's also been a year of incredible progress. In this week's episode, I speak with Dr. Sean Grannis, Vice President of Data and Analytics at the Regenstrief Institute, who shares what stood out to him most about COVID-19 in 2021. We also discuss the latest evidence about Omicron. Our conversation is next. I mean, this has been such a year, Dr. Grannis. So we have our top three things that I want to get from you about COVID-19, you know, the good, the bad, and everything in between in terms of what was most surprising. I know it's probably tough to narrow down, but all right, you have the floor.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think COVID held a lot of surprises for us. As I think back, one of the earliest surprises was when Indiana performed a study of the entire state, one of the first in the world, frankly. We discovered that 45%, nearly 50% of people testing positive for COVID didn't have any symptoms. And that was a big surprise. And that told us that, whoa, if you're asymptomatic, you don't know you have the disease, you're much more likely to spread it. And that was one of the early surprises for COVID. And I think that just speaks to the uniqueness of this virus and how we need to, pay attention to its various characteristics. Number two, I would say I'm pleasantly surprised at the success of the mRNA vaccines. While the technology has been around for several years now, it has not been used at the scale we're seeing it now. And those vaccines, with mRNA technology, we can target two specific organisms, and the initial vaccines, the initial mRNA vaccines, showed great effectiveness against those initial variants. And I think it's interesting to juxtapose the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. While it was effective as well, but its effectiveness was much lower, and that was using more traditional vaccine technology. So I think the mRNA vaccine technology holds a great deal of promise for the future. In fact, right now, Moderna said it's going to take them about 100 days to retool their mRNA vaccine for the new variants. That's phenomenal, and that's a game changer. And so that's a pleasant surprise. And finally, I would say the most pleasant surprise of all was the way that Hoosiers came together to tackle the COVID challenge. We had, of course, Dr. Box and Governor Holcomb led the response, but we had the Indiana Department of Health, we had the Management Performance Hub, we had individuals at Indiana University, the Regenstrief Institute, the Indiana Health Information Exchange, the Indiana Hospital Association. So many organizations coming together on a regular basis to create what I think is one of the most robust, data-driven responses to COVID in the United States. And so it's just amazing. And for that reason, we have amazing publicly available dashboards so people can track and understand what's happening, but also look at the testing and vaccination infrastructure in the state. There are many places that people can go. They usually don't have to travel too far to get tested, to get the vaccine. And that is a credit to the infrastructure that had to be stood up in, frankly, in less than 2 years, less than really 18 months, which is phenomenal. And these are groups that hadn't typically worked together before, but I think they came together to show, frankly, the country how you can create a very robust, data-driven response to COVID.
Oh, I remember when we were following your data analytics. That was just incredible, and such a congratulations, and just a wonderful thing you've done for Indiana. And then, people are asymptomatic and they don't even know it. They can have it, they can spread it, and gosh, congratulations on how much Indiana has done so much, and you've been such a critical part also of our coverage with Wish TV, but also the nation. So I mean, it's just, been incredible in what you and your team have done. I do want to say I thoroughly enjoyed our previous conversation talking about the natural immunity versus in Israel versus, and that's a huge paper, and congratulations on that too. Anything else you'd like to say, maybe in terms of Omicron, in terms of the holidays, in terms of anything, any message to people?
Sure. I think, the variants are still here with us, and I think we need to continue to be vigilant. But I think the good news is we have tools in our toolkit to respond to it. I think by now, Hoosiers understand what they need to do to be safe. And I think we are able to make well-informed decisions. It looks like Omicron spreads fairly quickly. That data, we're getting more and more data points that suggest that it spreads fairly quickly. And so I think I would encourage people to be safe, to think about what their plans are. Of course, mask, distance, hygiene, stay home if you don't feel well, and get tested if you don't feel well are all important parts. But I would also remind people that with the booster, evidence that we've seen come out, the Pfizer vaccine with booster is as effective against Omicron as it was against the Delta variant. And we were concerned about the Delta variant, and I think we saw great protection against the Delta variant. We've already talked about this, but vaccines don't exist just to prevent people from getting the disease. It also exists to prevent them from winding up in the hospital or even dying. We know that the vaccines provide strong protection against the most serious outcomes from the virus. And I've had personal, close family friends who are at extremely high risk, were vaccinated, got COVID, and had very mild symptoms. And so those are anecdotal experiences, but I think they speak to the tools in our toolkit that we have to protect ourselves, even the most vulnerable among us.
Right. Well, I'm glad your circle is doing okay and safe now. I question. So all right, we know that 73% of all new cases are Omicron. Is there a chance that Omicron could sort of outburn Delta? And if Delta is more not contagious, but virulent or pathogenic, and Omicron spreads more quickly, I would think that if Omicron outburns Delta, that would be a good thing, because it's saying that there's sort of a development of this mutation, saying that it is weakening because it's not diffusing into the bloodstream so far as Delta does. So it's the upper respiratory tract. So I don't know. That's just a thought.
Yeah. So I think in general, yes, if we have to have COVID around, I would certainly prefer a much less virulent version of this. The data that I've seen so far suggests that it's not more virulent than Delta. I don't think there's been clear evidence yet that it's less virulent. It may be about the same. So again, I'm waiting to see some more data. We're certainly watching what's happening in South Africa, what's happening in the UK. I think some good data is coming out of those places as Omicron spreads there. But of course, we want to see less virulent versions of this virus. But what I ultimately want to see is that this virus is suppressed to 0% infection, and we're waiting for that. So.
Well, I mean, I think that's right. We're still following this. We don't have enough data. We don't know if it could be just as or even more so virulent as Delta. So, right, we'll see with the evidence. Gosh, anything else you'd want to say to just, you have the floor. I love talking to you. Sorry.
Sure. Well, I guess what I would say to everyone is I hope that you have a peaceful, family-filled holiday season that is COVID-free. And I think that we have communicated or tried to communicate what people can do to have that safe COVID-free holiday season. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Hoosiers that we keep the rate of Omicron spread low. And I think we're all tired of the vaccine. We're all tired of the virus, and would just like to see it go away. But I think the holidays are a time to catch our breath, and I hope people are able to catch their breath before we launch into the new year. Launching into the new year, we'll see this is influenza time as well, and we are seeing influenza cases this year. So I'd encourage people to not forget that there are other viruses out there. Get that flu shot. You can actually get COVID and flu at the same time. That's right. To be safe, and we will keep tracking what's happening to COVID into the new year.
This has been Medical Minutes from Wish TV. I'm medical reporter Dr. Mary Gillis. Be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast and check out new updates every week. You can also learn more at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook.
Learn more and get more with Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.